Good evening. I remembered to turn my mic on. How is everybody?
Kind of sums it up.
So you should be. Hello everybody. Thank you for waiting with us. Welcome to Goldhart Group. We are playing Curse of Strahd, Session 2 for Goldhart Group, but technically it is Session 8. We are a collection of storytellers and roleplayers here on Twitch to entertain you. Right now, we're all about D&D, and while we may love everything D&D, we are not affiliated, endorsed, sponsored by, or specifically approved by Wizards of the Coast, LLC. But you never know. So... yes, welcome to Barovia, the nightmarish land come to life. Filled with drama, suspense, intrigue. Witness a tale of 3 Faerunians. Hand up if you're a Faerunian.
I'm not sure if that's the right answer or not.
As they
attempt to get out of prison free and get someone. No?
As they try and escape the land of Barovia. In doing so, and in their adventures thus far, they have caught the eye of the kingdom's tyrannical ruler, Strahd. Prepare yourselves, for when the mists gather, survival is no certainty. Especially tonight. Last time we played Curse of Strahd, our players finished their visit with the Baron of the town of Vallaki, and were quickly intercepted by the Keepers of the Feather leader, Elizabeta, a capable woman of raven hair and raven wing. She sent word that the Wizards of Wine had sent word that attacks by the Druids had resumed. The players having previously saved the Martikov family from utter destruction to bring cheer to the city of Vallaki by restoring their wine supply. They knew that they needed to go to Yesterhill, and they knew that they needed to retrieve a stolen gem. Protection, or so it would seem, to the Wizards of Wine. Once there, they realised something wasn't quite right. They approached a large mound with a large effigy in the centre of a druidic circle of stone. Tendrils of a tree's root system wrapped around this effigy. On closer inspection by some of the party, they realised this was an effigy of Strahd himself. Our heroes came to the conclusion that the effigy was to be burnt and thus completing the ritual. Our heroes at the same time had also noticed that they were surrounded by graves. Lots of them. It wasn't long as they started making their plans that they saw fire coming from the forest, reflecting off the trees, heading towards them along the path that they had just travelled. As they took up positions and ready to stop whoever it was that was going to set fire to this effigy, they realised that what appeared through the thicket was not druids carrying torches, but in fact a beast as black as the pits of hell and a mane made of fire. Its rider, the Lord Strahd himself. As if summoned from their deathly sleep, the graves moved and their inhabitants stirred. Rotten, nearly naked corpses rose from the ground, covered in bluish-grey mud, matted hair, and if they had them still, wild eyes. The druids began chanting on the appearance of Strahd, and within the effigy a ghostly green light glowed within its chest. Our players sprung into action. And Strahd, amused, left, his purpose unknown. Our heroes attempted to put a stop to any that would have torches, but none of them had them. Ella, our light-footed hin, sprung to action attempting to remove the gem before it was too late, while the others attempted to dispatch the others. The chanting continued, Ella was quickly captured, and before they knew it, the ground began to shake. The Golthius tree had been awoken, and this is where we will resume their tale. Perhaps their last. So, everybody, do me a favour. Roll me initiative. And I will grab a pen because I forgot something.
Ooh.
Mine's backwards.
I've just got to say, it's nice to actually be able to see what I can roll this session.
And if Jason is signing something, you will also see that.
Yeah, then you'll be able to say, oh, that's wrong, that's not right.
Okay, everybody, call out.
17
We have a 17.
for the smallest.
15 for Waldemar.
Is Ella the smallest? It's funny, I can't remember.
No, Ella is
No,
definitely
she is
the smallest.
smaller. I think like 2 or 3
Okay.
inches even.
Gideon?
14.
She's like a mile and half.
I'm like this.
Gerhard?
I'm a midget.
That's a 20.
Nat?
Dirty.
Ooh.
Finny?
24.
Bear me just a second. The dice have been very kind to you tonight.
The bloody well need to be. Long may it continue.
Yeah, each one of those dice was like a death now.
That's not for whom the dice rolls.
Dun dun dun.
It rolls for us. For now.
So allow me to set the scene. The decrepit bodies that surrounded you crumble to dust. Their job's done. The ground is shaking. You hear an unsettling moan that sends shivers up your arms, the backs of your neck, and makes every hair stand up on end. You turn to the dead grove, for that's where the sound came from, and towards you comes hurtling a sickly-looking tree. Its roots wriggle towards you, burying themselves within the ground with each step. It knocks over other dead trees it is surrounded by. But as it does, sap twists these trees into twig blights, who move on the march towards you. It has gaping wounds from battles long past, with sap. Wait. That's not sap, but blood. It leaves an oily slick behind it. A gleaming axe lies buried in its trunk, and a dangling rotten arm still holds onto it. It groans and creaks as it reveals an oozing putrid mouth filled with heads in various stages of rot. Finny, you're at the top of the round. What are you going to do?
How close is the nearest batch of twig lights?
So they're not very fast, you see. So it started about 30 start getting 60 foot away from you, and it moves 20 feet per 6 seconds. So they're not very fast.
Okay, and roughly how many twig lights have we got?
You have 2 for now.
Are they within 5 feet of each other?
Yes, they are.
Okay. What's the action economy on swapping weapons? 'Cause I think where we left off, Finny had his short swords out.
So if you drop your weapon, you can, within action, draw and fire. If you stow your weapon, you can only stow and then draw. You will not be able to use your action.
Okay. Give me 1 second just to double check something. I can't remember where the hell it's gone. Alright, Finny's going to, having seen the zombie that he last attacked with his short sword just crumbled into dust before him, he'll hear the noise behind and turn with a bit of a quiver and just starts sheathing the swords as he sees the range and cries out to everyone else, "You know, I'm starting to think we had the right idea in the first place. Light that thing up!" And he starts pulling the bow out, and that's going to cost him his action.
I actually need everybody to make me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh. 17! Like my initiative.
8.
23. Those are like the only high stats Baltimore's got.
Finny, Gideon, you are now frightened.
Oh, is it fright? Sorry, I have advantage on that then.
Oh!
Because it's dead, forget it, I was still frightened.
Still shot me, but
Are you using those same dice from the other night?
No, I've got character dice for Finny and Atreus, so I'm on finish.
Okay, I'm glad you swapped, because that was
Yeah.
Maybe
We'll see how it goes.
Maybe give them a little downpouring of booze.
yeah, was that
I'll break the
the
whiskey. If it gets bad, I'm going to break the whiskey out.
was that one in Goldhart's other game hosted by Tahina? That particular moment.
Yeah, the one where I made 4 attacks and I don't think I rolled higher than a 2. Yeah. It's not been a good week.
There's one action the whole game.
So, Finny, Gideon, you are now frightened. The presence of the Galthias tree has frozen you into the spot. So, Gideon. Not Gideon. Gerhardt, it is now your turn. What are you going to do?
Gerhardt has seen this great big shadow rise up in the forest in front of him, and then as it rose into view, all the gruesome details, and he feels a slight tug, a moment where he may be about to panic, but he sets his jaw, and he catches what Finny said, and he just takes a lead, and he runs towards it, his sword outstretched. He says, "Burn it! Burn it down!" So, start things off dramatically for you.
I heard it in stereo. It sounded weird.
Yeah, I actually shouted. Anyway, so you're just going to run forward. So if it's moved 20 feet, will he still be out of range if he...
Just.
Okay, but that's fine. He's going to run towards it to meet it. And he's going to see if he's prepared any sort of spell for burnout. Which he didn't. So he's going. Can he ready his action for when the tree comes into range?
Yes, you can.
Then that's what he's going to do.
Okie dokie. Ella, it is your turn.
Just for clarification, the Wicker Man of Strahd and the tree are 2 different things, right?
Correct.
And how far away is the tree from me? Like 80 feet at least, right? Because I'm on the other side of the
Wickman, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to and the skeleton that grabbed me and pulled me down just disappeared, right? It fell to the ground. Okay, then I'm going to look at the others and run after Gerhard, and I'm going to grab my holy symbol, and I will cast bless on myself. On myself, on Finny, and on Gerhard, because he's just running ahead, and I think he needs it. Some little divine help. And I would like to look for a spot where I can basically, to the left or to the right, where I can hide behind a standing stone or another tree or something to get cover, so I can get some juicy sneaky attacks against the tree in later on.
So in the circle there are no shrubbery, but there are those standing rocks. Given how small you are, you can certainly try and hide. Could you please hide for me?
I will. And I'm really good at that. That's a 26. I rolled an 18. I'm gone. So, remember, Finny and Gerhard, if you roll an attack or a saving throw, you can add 1d4 to that roll in order to boost it.
I just realised I made a critical error and didn't bring paper.
Oh.
I shall have to substitute my hand.
You're just writing stuff down.
Carve it in.
Nice. I love it.
I decided that I'm gonna write down Waldemar's experience in ink, so it's like
really neat.
It's like an actual journal.
Diary. Yeah, that looks great. And that's my turn then. I'm ninja style, hidden.
Gideon, would you like to try and make a saving throw to regain your consciousness?
Yes, I will do that. Is it a wisdom save?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I got a 12.
I'm afraid that this tree is just the most hideous thing that you have ever seen. You're used to nice weeping willows of lush green, not oozing blood pus-filled trees with teeth and heads. I'm afraid that you are still frightened.
Okay, that's
Take out the people that can cast fire. It is the Galthius tree's turn, and it moves closer to you, Gerhard. But as you do, it reaches out from the ground with its roots. For a natural 1.
I am lucky tonight so far.
I never roll 1s. What are you doing, Dice?
Yandala loves you!
Hold on, does he get an... is this a ranged attack, sorry, or is he up next to me? Do I not get an attack that I've held back as a reaction?
It's a melee weapon attack, and this came up from the ground, so it's not actually close to you, but you
are okay. Just want to double check.
Okay, and the twig blights will move forward, and they're nearly in striking range, and that's it. So top of the round, Finny.
And Waldemar doesn't get to go?
Oh, Waldemar, I'm sorry. You can go now.
Thank you.
Because we don't recognise you, Anne, without the glasses.
I know! You're just a stranger in the stream. This gothic stranger. Right, you can go now. Apologies.
Thank you. So, hearing all the talk about needing to burn the tree down and feeling very conflicted about it, because I probably will hit Ella and or Gerhard, but I'm still gonna... is the tree within 60 feet of Waldemar? What
side of you? You went to help Ella, didn't you, when she got captured?
Yeah, I
you did it with magic. You did it with magic missile, if I remember correctly.
So I'm near Gwydion.
I would say you are within 60 foot of the tree. However, Voldemort, just before you take your action, you are the holder of the Galthius tree branch, the staff that you received in a previous session.
Yes.
And you feel it tingling, resonating with magical energy. And I'll just leave that with you.
First things first, I'm casting Flaming Sphere on the Galthias tree.
Okie
dokie. It's a 23.
That will hit.
And,
So this fiery orb appears at the mouth of the tree, and it begins to pulsate. How much damage does this tree?
I need to roll it, but the tree should make a dexterity saving throw higher than 23.
Yeah, no, this thing has a -2 dex. It's not doing that.
Oh, okay,
it's a
then.
tree.
So it's,
Yeah, math is your friend.
it is receiving 9 points of fire damage. And, I'm afraid that flammable objects that are not carried or worn within the 10 feet radius are on fire now.
It's made of wood. Evil wood, but it's made of wood. So I'm just trying to find a calculator. I can't do that.
Where the hell's a blight spell when you need it?
This, ladies and gentlemen, this is the value of casters.
And you know what? I'm going to have the Galthias tree take a legendary action. Goldhart, it's coming for you again.
Bring it on.
Does 21 hit you?
Not if he uses shield
Are you going to
for the whole turn. Oh, he's going to use shield as a reaction.
Okay. Once again, these roots sprout out from the ground, coming to... I need to stop looking over there because I can see them here, and then I'm looking at the camera. Sorry, it's weird. Sprout out of the ground and try to grasp you, but you nimbly, despite your heavy armor, step out of the way. Now it's top of the round, Finny.
Okie dokie. Wisdom save?
Oh yes, please. You're still frightened.
I can go with that, for freak's sake.
What was
I don't think that's enough. I can't remember what I rolled the first time out. No, it's not enough.
What is it?
10.
I know the
No, 9.
Oh yeah, that's definitely not.
It's slower than the last one. I know I didn't make it. So I can't move closer to it as part of the frame, but I can still attack it with disadvantage, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, so Finny will be taking the bow, an arrow from the quiver, and there's a bit of a tremble in his hands as he lifts this thing up and looses a shot as these bursts of branches go out Gerhardt's way. First one's a 19 without modifiers, and the second one's an 18. That's more like it.
Yeah, that would definitely.
So the 18 will make it a 27 to hit.
Okay.
And did you roll up the D4? You can roll it with every attack.
I'm pretty sure if a 27 doesn't hit, we're screwed, so...
No, it's
The first one, right, was way lower.
No, 19 and an 18.
Oh, sorry, then I misheard it. Sorry.
There you go. I just need to remember what a longbow does. I think it's, 1d8. That's 10 points of damage.
Ooh.
And if the twig blights within 5 feet of it?
Yes, they are.
And quite surprised at his own ability under pressure here. Finny's going to turn and loose a second one as best he can and try and ride the crest of this little wave he's got going. The first one is an 18, and the second one is a 6, so that's going to make that 15.
They both hit.
Okay.
They hit.
So one against the main tree and one against the twig blight.
Yep.
And the second one is going to be 11 points of damage against the twig blight.
The twig blight tumbles into nothing.
Splendid. And I would imagine Finny, looking quite surprised at his own efforts, is going to end his turn there.
Okay.
If he can, I think he'll move away from it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how close it is at this point.
Not close enough yet. It's not its turn.
Yeah, he'll be backing up. He'll take his movement range, 25 feet, I believe, for the halfling. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Goldhart.
Gerhardt will look down and stamp on the roots that tried to grab him. And now, not so much running, because it's only 5 feet across. He just walks, strides purposefully over to it, uncowed. So swings his sword in a flourish, and he snarls as he just steps up and hacks at it with his sword.
Okay.
And that will be a 17.
So you draw back your sword and you swing for it, and your sword finds the target, true and sure, but its bark is so thick, you don't think you did any damage.
Okay, that's a bitch. That's all he can do, really, at this point.
And at this point, I'm going to take another legendary action from the Galthius tree. Once again, it's coming for you, Gerhardt. Does a 24 hit you?
It does.
You take 5 points of bludgeoning damage, and you are now grappled. I put little crosses next to your name when I've incapacitated you.
Wait, decapitated us? Hold on, go back.
Don't oversell yourself. Don't get too excited. Come on. We're not dead yet. There's still life in us yet.
Ella.
I'm taking 5 points.
Ella, it is your turn.
So I'm hidden behind that stone. How close is the tree now? Like 40 feet or something like
So
that.
it hasn't had its turn to move yet.
Okay, so it's still very far away. Yeah. How many... I just had an idea. 60 feet, right? So yeah. I could... how nimble can a big tree be? So I will look around that stone like... and cast Sacred Flame on that sucker. So, right in the middle where the screaming faces are. Take that!
Excellent.
Would you please make a dexterity saving throw?
Oh, 17. -2.
Oh, yeah.
15.
Oh, wait. -15? Yeah, you just saved then.
Oh, nice. That tree is more nimble than you expected.
My snake is! I said and ducked behind the stone.
Waldemar, this is your correct position in...
Thank you. So, how do I check if I keep my concentration for now?
You haven't been hit, so you don't need to.
So, I'm still holding up the spell.
Okay, so roll me my burning damage.
That's a 3, and a 3. 6 more points of fire damage. And I'm going to grab the stick that's assumingly vibrating with magic on my back, because it's making me feel weird. And I'm gonna try to see what kind of energy I'm feeling as I'm touching it.
Oh, here we go. Now I've got to go dig it up because you guys didn't write it down.
Sorry.
And now I'm looking in the run book. That's the monster manual. I'm like, right, goats. I don't remember the goats being in Curse of Strahd.
Well, that's our worst fear. Never mind this.
Strahd's elite guard is just an army of angry goats.
I'd be scared.
Ah, the goatees. They're villains after all.
The Galthius staff. So it does require attunement. to have all these amazing functions. But it's a branch made from the Galthius tree, as you remember. The Galthius staff is spongy, black in length. Its evil makes beasts visibly uncomfortable, while within 30 feet of it, the staff has 10 charges and regains 1d6, plus 4 of its expended charges at dusk. If the staff is broken or burned to ashes, it would releases a terrible inhuman scream. So, the thing that you can do with it, and you get a sense as you hold this staff, is you can use Blight Bane. Other evil plant creatures don't regard you as hostile unless you harm them.
Cool, I'm gonna burn that tree and use this the other time.
Yeah.
And my turn. And I angrily tell the staff that she should have told me earlier.
Oh, should I
Yeah.
now?
No, I'm yelling at the staff.
At that point, the tree turns around.
You know that staff start bossing you around now, and who knows where it'll end. And by the end of the session,
Is that the end of your turn, Mortimer? Or would
Yes.
you... Excellent. Gideon, would you like to make a saving throw?
I'm afraid you're muted, Nate. Nope.
Hey.
Hey, there we go. Sorry about that. I rolled a dirty 20.
Oh, well done. You are now not frightened.
So Gideon at first dives behind a rock, and he's shivering and terrified because he's never seen that tree before. And then he hears just the combat happening and realizes his friends are in danger, so he hops back out and he pulls a leather strap from his component bag, wrapping it around his wrist, and then he does some incantation gestures and mutters some words, and the leather becomes translucent and starts spreading across his body as mage armor envelops him. So that would make his AC 15. And then he's going to move 20 feet towards, or 30 feet towards the tree and Gerhardt.
Okay, so you're just behind Gerhardt. Anything else?
Let's make that 20 feet if I can instead. I didn't realize they were so close.
Okay. That's fine. Cool.
And that'll end my turn.
My turn. And the Galthius tree opens its putrid mouth, and a 15-foot cone, which will hit you, Gerhardt, just miss you, Gideon,
Okay.
of poisonous gas. I need you to make me a Constitution saving throw.
okay. If need be, can I use? I'm about to use my inspiration for advantage.
Okay.
Sorry, Constitution. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You hold your breath not to smell its breath, but you just luckily hold
Even
your
with fucking advantage, only got a 14.
You take. Listen to those dice.
breath. Oh no.
That's very loud. How many? I don't.
That's far too much time spent
Yes.
counting. Anything over 2 seconds is bad.
I'm gonna be dead.
I'm not very quick. It's okay. I actually need to roll 2 more.
Oh god.
66.
Wait, you're not very good at maths. How can we trust what you're saying? I think we need to somebody to count.
You take 24 poison damage. And it's time for a legendary action too. Gideon, you are out of the range of the poison, but you're not out of the range of the roots. These roots shoot up from the ground and try to grasp you. 4. $19. I am muted.
That hits despite the mage armor.
You take 3 points of bludgeoning damage and you are now grappled. Another
Okay.
one bites the dust. I only have 1 twig bite left. And it's going to move its 30 foot towards the rest of you, ignoring the others, which the tree has handled. Top of the round, Finny.
So it's currently got Gwydion and Gerhardt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see how we get on with this one.
Can only do that 5 more times.
It's a 17 to try and hit the big tree again, and he's trying to aim as best he can towards one of the branches that's got Gwydion and or Gerhardt, whichever one he gets the best eye on. Trying to do what little he can to break them out of his grasp despite his own fear, and not really trying to look at where he's pointing this arrow.
Okay, that hits.
Okay. 11 points.
Of?
Piercing.
Okay, so you successfully strike the root that grapples one of your companions, but it doesn't seem to do anything. They're still grappled.
That's enough. There's a twig bite getting any closer to Finny specifically?
Yes.
He's going to keep backing up and just wandering backwards as he's pulling on these bowstrings and just trying to fight his own desire to turn around and just run into the distance.
Okay. Gerhardt. So, you are grappled. You have 2 choices. You can try and use your great strength to break free, or you may try and slash your way out of the roots.
So will it use up an action to do the strength check?
Yes.
Okay, so either way I'm using an action. Okay.
A dirty 20 will hit. So are you doing a strength check or cutting at it?
He's going to hack at them. He's just going to look down as if they're mere nuisances, and he's going to just mercilessly hack away.
Okay, roll me some damage.
That would be 7.
You cut away at this root. I guess it's not branch. And you hear this horrible high-pitched... I'm trying not to do it too loud so people's ears don't hurt. And and the root shrivels back underground. You are successfully free. Is there anything else you'd like to do for your turn?
Yeah, as a bonus action, he's just going to look down and look up to the tree with just this expression of pure focused hate. And he's going to, while he's doing this, it looks like he's just pumping himself up. And he will cast Second Wind as a bonus.
Oh god, the tree puns are so bad. I'm just watching them in chat. So bad. You should all be ashamed.
Do you have a cone to pick with the chat?
He gets 9 points of HP back to figure out how to do that.
Excellent, thank you very much. Ella. Save my legendary actions.
Okay, so the tree did not get much closer, right? So I'm still behind that standing stone.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw, or I could hear that Gerhard was pretty badly hurt. So I think I'm going to use my action this time to look around again. And I'm going to cast Healing Word. There! And then I hide behind the tree again. And I heal you for 8 points. I'm waiting for them to come closer so I can sneak up on the tree. And that's my round, I guess. Don't forget, Bless is still up on your attacks and saves.
Okay. Legendary action from Galthia's tree. While you are healing, Goldhart, 3 more twig bites. Turn up. Welcome.
So I'm continuing to burn the tree.
Roll me more damage, please.
4 and 4, 8 total.
Excellent. Anything else?
And I'm gonna yell at Goldhart, "Get out of there!"
Gideon, what would you like to do?
So, do these roots have me so good that I couldn't try to use acrobatics to maybe slip out of my cloak and get free?
No, strength. Yeah, they have you well. So strength check, or cut your way out, or maybe try and burn your way out.
I was thinking that, but I'm not flame-proof.
Just to take your way out.
Yeah. I'll clean up all this nasty blood, and then...
Clean this entire mess. This entire battle is mess.
Yeah. And I think if I'm grappled, I couldn't get my hands to do the spell motions either, probably, for burning hands. Oh boy, it's not my best ability.
Who's grating cheese?
I'm drawing your fucking Galthias tree. Come on.
Oh, thank you.
He'll grab one of his daggers and he'll try to cut his way out.
Okay, roll me an attack, please.
Okay. I gotta remember where that's at on this. Here we go. I got a 13.
So you get your dagger and you start soaring away, and that's a really unfortunate thing to do down there. So I'm going to do it up here. You start soaring away, and it just doesn't seem to be cutting. You're just not getting through that bark.
Okay.
Okay. My turn. Okay, so I'm going to move just a tiny bit closer by 5 feet, so now the tree and Goldhart are toe to toe. Once again, Goldhart, could you please... No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to use my multi-sack. So it's going to strike you. Once with its branch and once with its roots. So, first one. Oh, God, natural 1. Okay, so that just hits you and pings off your shiny new armour.
Gideon hits him. Bounces off your chest plate. Oh!
And the second one, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
Ha! He steps out of the way, just dismissively, as it slams past him.
Okay, and then I'm going to do a legendary action. Does a 23 hit you?
No, because he's going to use his last remaining spell slot as a reaction to cast shield again.
Okay, Galthia's tree. Turn, right, twig blight. Voldemort, 1 is upon you. It is going to claw at you for a 14, 15, 16, 17.
Who am I trying to hit?
Voldemort.
Oh, my AC is 12. They probably
Okay.
get me.
You take 3 points of slashing damage. Goldhart, there are 3 around you. So the first one is another one, and an 8.
Just sad.
I know, I've never rolled this badly.
He's just looking at all these flaming plants around him. He's just doing a little dance saying, "Okay, touch this."
Would you go so far as to call it a safety dance?
Let's not start, okay?
Get out.
That's for another stream.
Yeah, I hope nobody leaves their friends behind in this situation.
Oh my god.
No, because we've been doing this all night.
Yeah, well, no. The tree puns are bad enough.
I'm done. Stream's over. But we'll see you next Monday.
Night, folks.
Look what you've done, chat. Look. You've started them off punning in the
Yes,
stream.
it's your fault. Honest.
Right. Finny, top of the rounds. What are you going to do?
Finny's going to keep backing up a little bit until his back basically bumps into one of these gravestones that's on the hill. Now, can you tell me which side of the gravestone the grave is actually on?
Inside.
So is Finny stood on the grave or not?
Yes.
And Finny, upon realising this, just sort of jumps to, "Oh, sorry, mate," and he'll nip around the back of it, and seeing the 3 twig blights that have appeared, he's going to turn his attention to them.
Mm-hmm.
Are they still clumped together?
Yeah, they are all round Goldhart.
Splendid. Where's my spell gun? So he draws an arrow from his quiver, and this time out there's a little bit of tweaking to the actual arrow itself. There's like a flicker of movement along it, and a hint of, looks like wood on the arrow itself, more so than just the shaft. And he lets loose with this arrow. Let's see how we get on with this one. Say 23 to hit.
It hits.
Splendid. I need to find my dice. Hold on. I'm getting confused. Not great though. They take 2 points of piercing damage if they manage they need to make a dex save first.
Not important. As your arrow shoots off, and does it split? Like what's happening? Describe it.
As it hits, I'll roll the damage for that as well. Thinking about it, that's 11. 11 to the initial target and 2 damage from a sprout of vines appear in a 10-foot radius around the whole area and try to entangle and dig in at these various little twig blights.
Because of how they're positioned around Goldhart, I need Goldhart to make that dexterity saving throw. But the twig blights are just crushed between these vines and they're gone. They only have 1 HP.
Okay. That was easy.
But I can spawn more!
Yeah, that'll be more than enough to beat the DC, mate.
Excellent.
So yeah, it doesn't hit Goldhart.
Okay, there's 1 twig blight left and the Galthius tree. Goldhart, your turn.
Okay, Goldhart. Don't touch this. Okay, is going to... let's see, what can he actually do right now? Do you know what? How much of the tree is actually on fire?
The trunk.
Okay, now the legs, do they look like they're segmented? Or they've got gaps or chinks in that bark? Imagine it being sort of a tree come to life. It's all, yeah, like this. But yeah, there's going to be little bits he can jam his sword into to try and pry it out. Yeah, so that case he's just going to leap up onto the leg and just haul himself up slightly to where the knee joint is and just tries to get his sword in there to see if he can force something.
Okay, roll to hit. So you take your sword and you plunge it down into one of the legs of the tree and it lets out a horrendous screeching noise, which I won't repeat. And how much damage does it take?
Well, the dice gods are with me tonight. Got 10. Full compliment.
Excellent. Ella. So, just to give you a recap, so the Galthius tree is a little bit closer by 5 foot.
Yeah.
But Voldemort's tangling with a twig blight.
Is there a way for me to sneak maybe in a circle so I can climb on top of the Gathier's tree from behind or something? I'm getting tired of waiting for it, basically, and I want to get up there and I want to grab that axe, because I think maybe that axe, it did made it bleed, right? So maybe if you have that would help. So, yeah.
Possible, but you'd have to go all the way down from the mound and then around it. So if you imagine a mound, I'm just going to draw you a picture, because that's just easier. So and there's the effigy, and then there's the stones.
Good to see we're an art stream too.
And here's the tree.
Yeah.
Lovely, lovely tree. Unhappy.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. So you would have to go down and around to get up behind it.
Okay.
Masterwork.
Maybe I just parkour over Gerhard and on top of the thing, right? Because it's almost on him, right?
So you're a halfling.
Yeah.
And Gerhard's here.
Yeah.
Sort. So Gerhard's here.
Yeah.
You're a halfling. You could just try and hide behind Gerhard.
Yeah.
Not like I'm giving you tips or anything.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to use him as to break the line of sight, basically, and I'm so small. I could just.
She'd be like a little ferret, dashing his legs around.
Yes, I will do that. So I'm going to sneak up on the tree.
Okay.
And my plan is to basically climb then up on Gerhard and jump from him on the tree and from above.
So I do need you to roll another stealth.
I will do that. Ooh, that's even better. I rolled a 19, so 27. Yep, 27.
Where's this pass? Oh yeah, that's fine.
Stealthy as fuck.
That expertise, eh?
Okay. See, you seemingly are unnoticed by twig blights in the tree. What else are you going to do? That's your movement.
I mean, I'm going to use my movement and my action to move, right? To get up behind Gerhard, right? Yeah.
You're dashing. Cool. No, that's all clear. Hold on now.
Am I right to assume that I lost my concentration when the blight attacked me?
Roll me a concentration saving throw.
Which is just a natural 20?
Con save, I think.
Correct.
Con save?
Yeah, Constitution.
Oh, shit. The only thing worse than my constitution is my dexterity. Which it's a 10.
Do I set the DC for that?
Forget, to be honest.
I forget as well. I'm I haven't done
I've not played a spellcaster in so long.
Concentration?
Yeah.
Yes. Either half the damage, or if that is less than 10, then 10.
Okay, I'm going to say you just make it.
I'll look it up in the meantime.
Yeah. So, I trust Tahina. She's been DMing a lot longer than I have.
Yeah, I'm curious now.
Okay, you look that up. Right, so yes, your sphere remains. Go away, Cat. And what would you like to do?
So my sphere remains for additional 9 points of damage, fire damage to the tree. Bless you.
Thank you.
Is it a separate action to attempt to kick the blight in the face or stomp it? Or is it a melee attack?
It's a melee attack. An unarmed strike, to be precise.
So it's just strength.
Yes.
It's a 9.
Yeah, you don't. You're so old, Oldemar. You've been standing on this damp hill for a while. Your joints are a bit creaky. You don't quite get your leg up there. You miss, unfortunately.
My feet hurt, and I'm not having any fun on this mount.
Excellent, Gideon. What would you like to do?
So since I'm tangled up in this thing's roots, and I see that the dagger is not making any headway, despite it being a pretty decent stab, it's not like he was holding back anything for being Gideon. I try to switch strategies, since it moved closer to Gerhardt, if I reached out, would I be able to touch him?
Yes.
5
foot away.
Okay, so I'm struggling against the roots, and as my hand reaches out, you notice that my fingers are twitching in an odd way, like I almost have like a crick in my wrist or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I mutter a single incantation and touch you, and your blade begins to glow with a magic aura. So you now have a magic weapon +1. Gerhardt. And then I can't move, so I think that is my turn.
Okay. Once again, the Galthia tree opens its putrid mouth and releases this 15-foot cone. Gideon and Gerhardt, please roll me Constitution saving throws.
$14.
These are the best rolls I've done like consistently in a session, to be honest. I'm so chuffed with them. And Leoni rolling nat ones, for God's sake. When does that ever happen?
Stop jinxing it. At least wait until the dice have finished rolling.
Oh, I'm waiting.
No, I'm a believer, the dice gods.
Okay, so what's your Constitution saving throw?
Mine was 14, so I don't know that it's enough.
Okay, we're waiting to hear from Gerhardt. What was yours?
No, I showed it. It was 17.
Okay, well, I'm sometimes looking down, so if you can say what they are, that'd be great.
Okay, I'm sorry, okay.
Gideon, you take 15 poison damage, and Gerhardt, you take half as much.
Oh, Gideon's looking like he's hurt his mouth.
13, you round up to... Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, you're okay.
You round down.
No, I interrupted you. Round down, okay. Sorry, carry on.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was just saying that Gideon is starting to froth a little bit at the mouth and twitch and shake, and he's not looking so good. Still alive, though. You think?
Legendary action time. There are now 4 new twig blights. Bringing the total to 5. Cool. Right, twig blights time. Valdemar, one is with you. For an 11, I do not believe that hits. Gerhardt. 16, 17, 18, 19.
I save.
Nat 20. 1. 4. 5. So 1 hits you and you take 3 points of slashing damage from its claws. Finny.
And Finny, seeing as he pokes his head back out from around his gravestone, sees what's happening with Gwydion, and in spite of his own fear, goes for another shot on the tree. I'm going to use a luck point to reroll that, because that's bad. Okay, that'll be a 20. Dirty 20 to hit.
It hits. You hitting the root?
Okay.
Or the tree?
The tree itself.
Okay, cool.
And that'll be 12 points of piercing damage to that one.
By the way, I took damage after that last attack, and I made the Constitution saving throw with a dirty 20, but just so for future damage is either a 10 or half the damage I take, whichever is higher. I have to beat that.
Every single round I've failed this wisdom saving throw.
Is that you done, Finney?
If there's another target within 5 feet, he'll have another shot. But I don't think there would be.
No, there isn't.
No, so that'll be it.
Okay, Goldhart.
Goldhart is just going to continue dangling and swaying from this segmented plate on its kneecap, and he's going to again drive his sword right into its leg with his now magic imbued weapon.
Do so. I'm going to change dice.
That'll be another 20.
No, please don't.
No, dirty.
Okay, so you successfully once again find this wound that you made, and as you go in for the second time, there's a great as blood and ooze seeps out of this wound. How much damage do you make?
Once again, I'm introducing it. The full complement of 10.
Excellent. Ella.
You get a +1 damage too from the magic, I think.
I have a plan. I'm right behind Gerhard by now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or can I get right behind? So I'm sneaking up on him, and I say, "Gerhard, it's me!" And I climb up his back like a little monkey. I can do this either with athletics or with acrobatics.
Athletics, please.
Athletics is an 18 then.
Okay.
And I climb up and I hang on your around your neck, and I touch my little hand right to your cheek, and there, and I cure wounds as my action, and you get 11 hit points back. And then I look over your head, and I see poor Gwydion, and there, and healing word on him. So you get 8 hit points back. What am I going to do with you guys? I'm trying to sneak up on the tree. Can you please not get hurt while I'm working? Thank you!
I'm going to successfully say that you are not hidden anymore.
No, I'm not. I'm sitting on his shoulders yelling over the battlefield.
DM?
Yes.
A very quick one. Nate's just reminded me that my weapon was blessed, so I should have had +1 to damage. And to hit, but I hit anyway. +1 to damage with my previous 2 strikes.
Okay.
So just an extra 2 HP.
Done. I'm going to use this moment to do a legendary action.
Okay.
To you, Ella.
Of course. Take down the healer.
Is a 25 hit?
Yes.
Does 110 hit you, Ella?
Let me think.
You take 5 points of bludgeoning damage, and you are now grappled in the air.
Okay, so this basically it plucks me from Gerhard's shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit! He hears the tree. Okay.
Waldemar. Little cross for you.
I would like to hold my action until the tree opens its mouth again.
Okay. What are you going to do when it opens its mouth again?
No spoilers, please.
I have to know as the DM.
As the DM, I'm going to move my sphere into the mouth of the tree and cause damage while the sphere is inside its mouth.
I like it. Creative. Okay, you can certainly do that. Gideon.
Now that I've been able to kind of reach out and help someone, I'm gonna try to struggle to break free.
Okay.
Oh, I got a 4, so I struggle.
It tightens its grip on you. You are not going anywhere.
That's all I can do.
My turn. We've only got 2 more of these left. I need Ella, Gideon, and Goldhart to make me a Constitution saving throw.
Some of you are blessed, don't forget to roll that d4.
19 for Goldhart. His highest stat modifier is finally snapped.
And I rolled a net 20, so...
I rolled a dirty 19.
25? Yeah, 25.
Oh, I lost a dice.
That's fine. Don't feel you don't need to get it.
We are okay.
Yeah, we don't need that one.
You each take 12 points of poison damage.
Is that with the save?
Yeah, that's with the save. It's half.
Ouch. Okay.
And that's all for its turn. The Twigblade's turn. They're going to go scramble at one with Gerhart. The rest are about. Yeah. 4, 18, 19, 20, 21. $20.
Yeah, 21 hits, yeah. 20 doesn't.
Okay. 5. 22. So you take 2 points of slashing and 4 points of, 5 points of slashing. Flip it around, Finny.
Let me see how this wisdom save goes. 11. I'm going to use the D4 of the bless if that's still active. 13.
Not enough, I'm afraid.
No worries. He's going to attempt to take a shot at the tree again, though. So it's a 19 and a... Oh God, what's that? 13. So 13 will be the one to take precedent.
So you don't strike true this time. Your arrow just goes slightly off course. And Voldemar, the tree did open up its mouth. Do you want to roll me some burning damage?
I would love to. That's a 6. And a 3, so 9 more fire damage right into its mouth.
As you do this creature lets out a tremendous roar, and heads and blood spews from its mouth. It's not looking good, guys.
As soon as he's got about 3 of his grapples, yeah, I believe you.
Ella, so you may try and cut yourself free, or you may try and use your mighty hinge strength to break free.
Yeah, or I could try to hurt the tree in the hopes that it will let go of me if it dies, right? I mean, yeah. I think I'm going to use Guiding Bolt on the tree, and I'm going to cast it at 2nd level in order to really damage it with radiant damage and make it nice and glowy so that the next attack will true strike it. And I'm going to do that, yeah. So I'm being flung around through the air and I'm like, pew! Natural 20.
Roll me some crit damage.
Yes! I love this dice. It has... I'm not going to say... I'm not jinxing it, but it rolled really good. So that's 5d6 because it's level 2, so 10d6. That should be good, right?
I think this thing's
So
dead.
10, 20, 21. 21. And 31, 35, 35 plus 4. 39 points of radiant damage as I... Pew!
Tahina, tell us your story.
Yes. So, after Ella had climbed up on Gerhard and healed him and was plucked rudely from the tree's roots and flung through the air, it just, in this curving sweep over his own tree top, basically. So she was hanging right in right over the gaping maw with the heads falling out. And she looked down and really just pointed her finger and... In Yandella's name! What does it take to kill you? And the searing beam of radiant energy dropped down from her finger right into the maw of the tree as it was like, wah! Looking as if it's going to eat her.
So, your
And energy curses through the tree and it explodes! Maybe.
So not only does the tree explode, but also the twig blight that remains.
Ooh.
And all that's left is a smoking stump. Congratulations. You survived your first legendary battle.
Ooh! Yay! So am I falling now?
Gerhardt's just going to, as it returns to this stump, he's just going to dislodge his sword from wherever it is now, and he's just going to step down, and the rain and the thunder all around him, and he's just going to look up and let the rain run down his face for a moment. Everybody else could see that he's just covered in tree spew and scratches and bleeding all over him. And he just looks like he's enjoying the moment, but he's swaying quite weakly.
Is the vine letting me go now, or is it basically petrified? So I'm falling.
Yeah, it's all gone.
Okay.
All that's left is the stump. Finny.
I know what's coming next.
Finny, you hear a whisper. A deep voice carried on the wind. Long have I waited for one who is worthy. My spear hungers for blood. Retrieve it and rule these mountains in my stead. Just like the mighty warriors from the early days of the Whispering War.
Finny looks about him. He's had a brief moment of relief just as this tree vanishes and a bit most of this terrible fear that's been gripping him for some time, and then as this voice hits him, he starts looking around wildly. The bow is still half drawn, and as it begins to ebb away, it's just confusion sweeps over him. And after a moment or two, he shakes it off and looks back at you, rest of you. You all okay? Everyone alright?
Muted.
Gideon is face down in the dirt, rasping as he breathes.
Waldemar does not let go, and he has still some 30 seconds until his flaming sphere goes out, and he burns that stump to the ground until there is nothing left. Not even ash. It all just floats in the wind away.
Oh,
Hearing the rasping sound, Gerhardt's going to turn round and he's just going to make his way straight over to Gideon and turn him over and investigate him.
oh, he coughs and sputters. He's still breathing, but he's so pale, and he looks like a stiff wind could end his existence at this point.
Gerhardt's just he looks like he's just delirious at them, but he's going to unhook the cloak from his pauldrons and just wrap it round Gideon.
After a few moments, Ella comes out of the bushes, pulling leaves out of her hair, rubbing her behind, and when she sees you, she says, "Ta-da!"
Ella, you remember the axe that was...
Oh yes, the axe.
That was in the tree, and as you are coming out of the bushes and pulling leaves and twigs out of your glorious red mane, your foot You stub your foot on something heavy.
Ooh!
You look down, and there is the silver battle axe.
I grab it.
As you pick it up, you realise that this is a lot lighter
Oh!
than you
I would have thought.
expected.
Mm-hmm.
And a magical energy comes off the axe.
It's magic. I mean, ooh, shiny. Anyone care for an axe? Because I'm not sure if I can really use it. Oh, Gerhard, I say, and come over, hopping in this hopping walk. You have a shiny armor. Maybe you need a shining axe.
He's at the moment. He's just completely preoccupied, and he's just looks down at Giddy and just say, "Are you all right? Can you hear me?"
Mine's not me. Grab the gem. And he coughs a little bit, but you think he's not on the... I mean, he's on the edge of death, but you don't think he's going to topple over the side of it.
So, it's not looking good. Can anyone do something?
Yes, I will. Take the thing so I can heal him.
Yeah,
You can
just
thank
takes
me
the
later.
axe. Yeah, he's going to take the axe, but again, he's not really listening. He's sort of focused purely on...
I will sit down and put Gwydion's head on my lap, so you see only Gwydion's head, because I'm so small. And I hold you and give you a hug, and I kiss your beak-like nose, and I heal you with my last level 1 spell slot. For 9 points, again. I have another spell, but if I cast that, then it will all be gone. All the magic.
No, that's totally fine. A lot of the color returns to his face, and his voice is a little stronger the next time. He's like, the gem, boy, the gem. He's still trying to get you to go for the gem.
Gerhard just smiles slightly. He says, "It's not your time yet, old man." And he watches as Ella bounds off after the gem.
He coughs and he says, "You can bet that was headed for the festival. Why else would they summon it today?"
That is exactly what I was thinking. Come, at least we have something to report. As he hefts Gideon up on, just with an arm over his shoulder to support him. At least we have something to report to those of the Feather and Victorio.
He nods, and that's about all he can muster at this point, but he gladly accepts the help and kind of hobbles alongside you as you help him up.
Finny, meanwhile, comes jogging up, just slinging the bow back into its sheath at the back, and gives you both a look over. You two look like dog shite. You okay?
Oh, I'll have a limp, I'm sure, but we'll see.
No worse than a night spent on Valeki's wall in the dead of winter.
I've got to say it, mate, from what I could see of it, that armour might have been a good investment after all. And he gives you a pat on the nearest piece of exposed plate he can.
He then looks down at it and...
Might want to clean it up a bit, though. Just stop brushing gunk and tree sap and blood all off his fingers.
But maybe later.
Finny, once again, the wind blows and you hear the whispers of the wind. Long have I waited.
And Finny sort of stops and hesitates a little bit mid-cleaning of his hands and just looks around very suspiciously. You hear that?
Are you alright, little man? You look more shaken up than usual.
Finny, you are drawn by this pulsing energy to one of the rocks in the circle.
And he glances over his shoulder at one of the graves, and he does look pale, but he's looked that way since the tree appeared. but he does look more distracted than usual. You don't hear that voice.
No.
I think it's coming from over there. And he takes a hesitant step or two forward.
Phineas, stay away. It is not a great sign to hear voices in Barovia. And I actually move towards Finny and I grab his shoulders and press him firmly into the ground so he cannot move, preferably down to his ankles in the dirt.
Finny doesn't resist, and he actually stares at this grave for a long second or two, and his gaze travels down towards his own hands for a moment, and lingers for a second before he looks back up and sort of at you over the top of his head. I think you got the right of it, mate.
Retrieve my spear.
We need to get out. I need to get away from this place. We need to go. And he starts trying to move away from it. Hopefully with you, Waldemar.
As you walk away, pull back to the rock.
I don't want to walk away. I want to search.
It's almost like a longing in your chest, like heartache.
Doesn't feel right leaving it there. You think it might be something that could help? I mean,
Gerhardt's actually going to prick up at this. He's noticed Finny speaking and acting this way, and he's going to say, like, what exactly is it?
I don't know. It's talking about a spear and, like, woods and wars and...
A spear? Where?
I don't know. I think the voice is coming from over the tombstone over there.
He's going to look to Waldemar
and he takes a half step back, and he's clearly wrestling with himself.
Well, Gerhardt's going to...
Waldemar stands with his hands on his hips, head hung low and looking down, shaking his hair, and he says, "Nothing good ever came out of digging a grave up. But be my guest. It is not the grave of my family."
He goes... he carries Gideon over to her. He says, "Could you support him a moment?"
Yes, and Waldemar grabs Gwydion, one arm around his waist, the other hooks it over his shoulders, and hoists him up.
Thank you, friend.
Don't mention it.
Finny, meanwhile, is beginning to sweat a little bit, and he keeps looking back and taking these half steps and stopping himself and going back a little bit. And I don't want it, but it doesn't want me to leave it.
Gerhardt's just going to move up to him now and place a hand on his shoulder and just say, "Show me where the voice is coming from."
Yeah, we can look for traps, and Gwydion can look for magic. And if it's dangerous, we can leave it alone. And if it isn't, then you could take it, right?
And his face seems to contort a little bit as you go. It sounds bad, but I don't know that it's right to leave it. But we shouldn't, but we should.
Calm yourself.
It is dangerous. We shall destroy it under your watch.
What we need is more information, guys. Where is it? Let's look at it.
And you can clearly see the gravestone at this point that Finny's trying to make his way towards, I would imagine. And he does point it out. It's the tomb over there. Oh, we did.
We lost Gwydion in more ways than one.
I would like to search for traps, and I would like, if Gwydion would be so kind to look at it for magic, that would be splendid. And I also want to get that gem! the thing because of it! Remember?
Can I use Mage Hand to grab the gem?
Yes.
Then I use Mage Hand to grab the gem and put it in my backpack.
Okay.
Finney, meanwhile, seems to have caught himself off guard because he takes a step towards and he realises somehow or another he's ended up with a shovel in his hand. And he doesn't remember pulling it out. I can't leave it there. I can't. It won't let me.
I investigate the tomb or the gravestone or whatever in order to find any traps or anything fishy. And I rolled a 19.
Mm-hmm.
In order on my investigation, perception would be higher. If you would rather have me roll perception, whatever you like best.
Investigation, please.
Investigation is 19.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't sense any traps.
Doesn't seem to be trapped. Looks harmless to me. I can't speak for the magical side of things.
If Gideon has a chance, he will cast Detect Magic. Gerhardt, you'll notice that the glow on your weapon fades now as he does this, as it's another concentration spell. So he puts his hand in front of his face like this, so he almost is looking through it like a scope.
Or
and he mutters,
the Illuminati?
No, it's like but a triangle shape though. And he mutters a word and looks around to see if he notices any auras of magic, and it should tell him also what school of magic, if any. It penetrates most barriers, but it's stopped by a foot of stone, an inch of common metal, lead, or 3 feet of wood or dirt. So I can see 3 feet into the earth if it's not too deep.
Okay, so it lights up like a beacon. It's just below the surface. You see an elongated shape.
Does it look like the spear that was mentioned?
Yes, it does. And I'm going to say the school of magic it radiates from is necromancy. That's a guess.
Okay.
Finney, meanwhile, has actually started already digging at this grave. He seems like pausing and clearly wrestling and reluctant to do it, but compulsion seems to drive him on.
Grab him! Stop him from digging! And he starts coughing, but he hopes you can get to Finney in time.
You can't just leave it in there. It wants out.
Gerhardt's going to start digging with his hands, with his big plated mitts now, and start scrabbling away at the dirt. He's really curious now as to what could have Finney first.
In a moment of clarity, you can see in Finney's gaze, he looks at you and he looks appalled, and then all of a sudden that concentration and that desire hits him again, and he's back at it straight away.
Ella, someone stop them!
So
the magic is necromancy.
That's my magic!
It doesn't take you very long, Gerhardt, but you uncover mouldy old bones and remnants of a chieftain's outfit, what hasn't decayed over time, and rested in his hands is a long spear with a stone shaft at the top, or what appears to be stone, and one at the bottom. Voldemort, roll me a history check.
Ooh, I have a high modifier on that.
As soon as it comes into view, even a hint of it, Finney's going to reach and try and pull it out.
19.
I think he's going to have to beat Gerhardt to that.
Hey!
He's just got his hands
It's
on him.
necromancy, you guys! It's bad! Go left!
What do I get with a 19?
Yeah, that's a good one. So I'm seeing the chieftain remnants and the spear, and then actually you're on Yesterhill. You remember a long time ago, before stories of before Strahd, and everyone loves to talk about the time before Strahd, of a tribe that lived in the Ballynock Mountains centuries before the arrival of Strahd. And there was this chieftain called Kavan, who had traits common with vampires, He slept during the day and hunted during the night. He drank the blood of his prey, and he lived underground. In battle he wielded a spear stained with blood, much like the spear, I don't know why I keep saying spear, that lies in front of you. His was the first blood spear, a weapon who drains life from those it kills and transfers life to its wielder.
DM, with Gerhardt's slight attunement to magic, will he recognise this school, this power coming from it?
If you do an Arcana check.
Not bad. 22.
Yes, you definitely do sense the necromantic energy coming off this spear. I need a break.
He's going to frown, and he's going to look up at Finney, seeing, I'm going if I'm wrong, but just quite an unnatural look in his eyes.
Yeah, Finney's definitely got a very manic look in his eye, and as soon as he
Something
gets
he's never seen before.
as soon as he gets the first glimpse of this thing appearing out of the soil, he's going to reach for it with both hands and basically just almost dive head first into the hole we've created.
Gerhardt's going to snatch him up rather than go for the spear. Just stopping him physically would be much easier, and he just goes, "What's gotten into you?"
I want it. I gotta have it. It wants me. I don't want it. And he's actively fighting to get out of your grasp at this point.
As that is happening, Voldemort jumps into the grave and wraps his hands with gloves, and he's gonna grab the spear and lift it up from the grave. Not touching, no contact skin to skin. He is holding it through the gloves.
So, nothing happens to you, Voldemort. This is a very good sphere, well made. It stood the test of time. But as you move it away from Finney, you do feel it get weaker.
I twirl it around and put it away from Finney, closer to Finney, trying to understand what's going on with the energy. Yeah, basically.
Empirical testing, you guys.
Yeah. And holding it about 5 feet above Finney, I relay the information that this spear may be of necrotic nature, but it does not mean it is bad in its essence. The same way not every person who wields a knife is a murderer. Some use it to carve chickens. The spear was held by Kavan of the Balinok tribe. He was the precursor of Strahd's kind. The spear can be his special weapon he enjoyed to kill his prey. Its fee? That it drains the life of its victim, it transfers it to the wielder. So our friend Finney here, if he never stops lusting for blood, will live quite forever, unlike this unlucky fellow. And I sort of nudge a stone back into the grave with my foot.
And Finney, meanwhile, in his ineffectual attempts to get to this, he seems to be losing a little bit of his energy, and he begins to almost sort of whimper to himself. I don't want to kill anyone, but it wants me to have it. I don't want it. It needs me. And he tries to scream again at Gerhardt, but you can see some of the fights going out of him at this point.
Gerhardt's going to set him down, and he's just going to look to Voldemort again. And basically, he's going to... It all seems like a bit of a candid look, but he's going to hold out his hand. He just says, "As you guard the staff, I will guard this spear. We must keep it out of his hands, but like the staff, it may well come in useful one day."
better talk to him. And if it's a vampire slaying weapon, why should we not give it to someone? I mean, we might end up slaying vampires, right? We are here in Barovia.
If you wield the spear, you might as well stick it up your ass. It will be of no further use. It won't Phineas.
And Finny reaches up and grabs your plate, Goldhart, and just cries out, "Keep it away from me! Give it to me, my precious!"
What have you done to my beautiful sphere? I wish that was we're gonna.
What he's going to do, Gerhart's actually clearly, assuming he knows, you can see full well that it's well made and sturdy and still good for use. Is that right?
So
In his practiced eye, does the spear look perfectly good to use still?
It's perfectly good to use. Yes.
Yeah, he's actually going to just attempt to just grab it from Waldemar.
I'm not going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to Finny.
Oh God!
He's still going to grab it off Waldemar.
Finny's as soon as it's offered.
Contest my dexterity, bitch.
Everybody, calm down. Right.
You did this.
Calm down. Goldhart, if you're going to try and take it off Voldemar and Voldemar doesn't want to give it to you, I need you to make contested strength checks.
Oh, fuck.
Athletics, please.
Athletic.
Seeing as it's being offered to Finny, in essence, and Finny's as manic as he is about it, is there any chance of him actually getting in the way to get hold of it?
Give me a second.
I hope you. I'm gonna use my inspiration. if I can remember what that is. What is this?
You just roll another dice, and it's like an advantage.
Yeah.
Oh, I rolled a 16. Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Okay.
So at least I want to slightly deck Gerhard in the face as he is wrestling.
Oh no, you don't get any freebies.
Okay, right. So, Goldhart, you try and take it from Voldemar. Voldemar was not able to hold on to it. However, I now need you to make me a contested dex checks. Because Finny, you're going to try and grab it as it's being fought over.
I rolled a 6.
No, not you, Voldemar. Just Finny. Finny and Goldhart.
Dirty 20.
Okay. So, Finny, you now have the spear. And all that anxiety you had, the longing in your chest, as soon as it's in your hands, you're all of a sudden at ease.
And as soon as Finny lays hands on it, you see the manic, rapid look go out of his eyes, and he sort of seems to shake himself out of a stupor. The hell am I doing with this? And he goes to drop it immediately.
And as soon as you do, the longing comes back.
And he immediately dives back on top of it, just pulling it to his breast. The hell is this thing? Where did this come from?
From Kavan, I just told you.
We did dig it out just right now. Have you forgotten? Right there! And I point at the hole.
And with that, we're going to take a break while they continue to argue about a spear, which is actually supposed to be a really nice magic weapon, but they don't want it. They never want my magic items.
Because
It's the Finny thing that friggin' has done it. It's like, won't leave him alone.
Stay tuned for Voldemar spitting at Gerhard.
So, we're going to go take a moment, calm down, have maybe a cup of chamomile tea, and we'll be back in 10-15 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Arrivederci.
Bye.
We are back. Sorry, I was taking my time on muting. Hello! Thank you for staying with us. Did you get a drink? Did you get something to eat? Did you go to the toilet? Stretch your legs? We are playing... Yeah?
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. We are Goldhart Group, and we are playing Curse of Strahd. The group managed to survive my attempt to crush them with their first legendary battle. I'm quite sad. For some reason, my dice were like, nope. Here's all the ones that you haven't rolled in about 5 years. I never roll ones. I roll near perfect stats. I don't roll ones.
This is what happens when you have 2 halflings in the party.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
It took you to die.
If these weren't my favourite dice, and you can't really see them, but if these weren't my favourite dice, they just look blue. They're pretty. Go look at my Twitter. They would go in the dice jail. So yes, just before the break, our party survived the Gelthius tree. They received 2 magical weapons, one of which that they didn't want. And it turned Finny into Gollum. And then a scrap broke out between Gerhart trying to take the spear from Voldemar, who was trying to give it to Finny. Gerhart succeeded in snatching it from Voldemar, and Finny was dexterous enough to get it from Gerhart. And then I was like, okay, cool. Right, we've done enough past
order.
We brought order to chaos. Let's have a break and calm down and take a breath. So we've done that, and we're back. So, party, I'd like a rest. Over to you.
I think Gerhardt's just going to see that the spear's now in Finny's hands, and he just takes a deep breath, and again, looks like now his fatigue and his injuries are just caught up with him, and his just shoulders slump defeated, and he shakes his head and just turns to walk back towards in the direction of Gideon, and he just mutters to Voldemar, "Necromancy may have its uses, but there should be few who practice it as possible. The boy is not ready."
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Keep on going, please.
No, that's it.
Okay. Oh.
I enrapture you.
Gideon, just as Gerhardt's talking to you, when I described the mound originally, obviously it's a mound, and to the right of it is just this thick wall of mist, and as you look over your surroundings, making sure there's no more enemies, making sure Strahd's definitely gone, you notice the sunrise is just creeping on the horizon beyond the mist, and there's a valley there, a forest that looks like Faerun. If you're talking, there's nothing.
You're still muted.
Ah, god damn it.
Nope.
1, 2, testing.
There we go. Did you just mute it in 8 places? Because I saw you touching things.
The timing was absolutely enthralling.
I was checking. And I was talking. I was saying that Gideon's eyes will narrow and he'll say, "Ella, Finny, look," and he'll point in the direction and see if they see it as well.
What is it?
Finny, for his part, has sort of sank into the ground at this point. I imagine he's splattered with mud from digging all this bit up, and the rain has soaked him through. And he's just got this spear in his hands, and he's looking at completely disconsolate and just, "What's going wrong with you, Finny, my boy? How'd you end up in this mess?" And although you try and drag him out of it, he just seems completely self-absorbed in that moment.
Do I see Faerun?
So yes, when you look to what Gideon is pointing out, yes, you too see just the inkling of sunlight and the forest of your home beyond this wall of fog.
Oh. I think this is a bait, right? This feels like a trap, doesn't it? It looks so close, but I bet if we go in there, the Mistfare will pop out and try to eat us or something like that. Don't you think?
Goldhart, Voldemort, roll me history checks.
Ooh. That's a 17.
13 for Gerhardt.
Okay, you both make this check. So, you both know that Yesterhill gets its name from a strange phenomenon that can be observed by anyone who looks into the mists from the hilltop or the western hillside, which is where you are. The dark powers, or Strahd as you know it, probably the Devil Strahd, have created a false image of people's homes. You know from rumour that Strahd sees his homeland, and you know from other rumours that other visitors have seen their homelands. It is known that sometimes the Devil Strahd comes to this hill just to gaze upon the image of his homelands. But you know that anyone that enters the fog is subject to its effects. The fog and the mists of Barovia are poisonous. There's an old legend. According to the mountain folk of Barovia, there was always a wall of mist near Yesterhill, even before the curse fell Barovia. And they're used to calling it the Whispering Hill, because as they edged closer to it, you would hear whisper of voices from the past and from the future. They believed that an ancient god gave up his divinity to preserve the world from destruction, and that his last exhalation produced the mists. Within it were all his memories of the world and all his visions of possible futures, and with proper preparation a seeker could go on a vision quest within it.
Waldemar sighs and confirms Ella's suspicion and says, "It is a trap, designed long before Strahd came to this land. For those who miss their home and long to return to it. This mist shows it to you, luring you in until it destroys everything from your mind to your body. But at the same time, this mist promises many things, futures that may never happen, insights in the past long forgotten. But your home is not that way."
But do you see something in there? Can you see the
Yes.
sunlight? And the trees?
No, but I see the dark blue sky, the light that pours from my house's windows, and I can see my wife trying to get children inside for supper.
That is also very nice. I say, and how cute. How cute, like.
Gideon will speak up as well, and he'll just say, "The illusions of this land are cruel ones, it seems."
Yes.
Or comforting, if you
As
have nowhere
befits
else
its
to go.
master.
Gideon? Do you still have the spell up?
The what?
The spell up? The magic-looking spell?
Yes. If it can last up to 10 minutes, I believe.
Can you please look at the axe just to make sure that what I gave to Gerhard is nothing bad? Because I think it was pretty neat and it was really light. I could pick it up and I could swing it. I'm not an axe kind of girl, you know? But, yeah, can you make sure that's not something bad?
I may be able to do one better. And he takes the pearl ring that we had gotten a while ago out, and he takes the pearl and he gives it a twist and pops it out of the holders, and he puts the ring back in his pocket, and then he takes the pearl and runs it over the axe and casts Identify.
I look very close to what you do, and I hold my pearl necklace, and I move around in the same way. That doesn't do anything.
Gerhardt's actually got it since strapped it to his belt, and he's just going to look down curiously as you do this.
As he's chanting, he pulls an owl feather off of a little rope tied to the sack of his components, and he begins sweeping that over as well and chanting as he's making hand motions with both items. It takes about 1 minute to complete, and then it says that I learn if it is magic or imbued with some other magical object. I learn its properties and how to use them, and whether it requires attunement to use, and any charges, if any.
Okay.
I also learn if any spells are affecting the item and what they are. If the item was created by a spell, you learn which spell created it.
Okay. So you're doing this to the axe, are you doing it to the spear as well?
Just the axe. I can cast it one more time, and I'm certainly willing to do it to the spear also.
So, its handle is curved with leaves and vines, and the weapon weighs half as much as a normal battle axe. When the axe hits a plant, whether an ordinary plant or a plant creature, the target takes 1d8 slashing damage. When a creature of non-good alignment wields the axe, it sprouts warn, whether its wielder makes an attack with it. These thorns prick the wielder for 1d12 damage. It is also a +2 magical item.
Excellent. So I will say, this weapon wards off creatures of nature, and if anything evil wields it, it lashes out at that creature, so only one with good heart can wield it. I think it is safe to use, and it is quite a powerful magic on the attack.
Gerhardt's just going to look down, and as if noticing it for the first time now, he's going to actually just lift it up by the head and unhook it from his belt and just toss it with practiced ease and grip it by the handle, and he's going to just inspect it himself. I've not used an axe in many years, but I certainly haven't forgotten.
I think this one is a worthy weapon for a hero. Does it have a name?
Did I get a sense of its name when I inspected it?
It has no name.
You need to name it. To name something means to have power over it.
Yes, and it does not have a name.
You need to name it. Every hero has a weapon with a name.
And there are power in words.
Voldemort is a really good name.
I think.
Do you really want him to say, I'm going to get my Voldemort out and give it a good swing? I'm not sure about that.
I think I need a rest. And he just clips the axe to his belt and starts to trudge off quite shakily now in the direction of town.
Maybe.
Before that, my friend, the spear concerns me. Finny, if you would hold it aloft, I will do the same to it.
Okay.
You've got time. He is staggering and limping back. He's not going very fast at all.
While you're starting to walk back, I'm starting to, just a quick moment, to start turning the prayer wheel, right? And incantate the prayer of healing and heal everyone up, because you're all close enough to me that I can do that while we walk home, basically.
Okay, right, I'm ready when you are.
Finny, for his part, hasn't actually moved. He's still sat in this next to the gravestone grave that they've dug up, and just seems just in a world of his own for a little moment. He's actually quite a ways behind the party, I would think, if you guys are heading off.
I look back, and once I notice that Finney isn't moving, I walk towards him. It's not like Gerhard's gonna run off or anything.
And again, you just see him sat there, just gazing over the spear and mumbling to himself under his breath.
Gideon will snap a finger to try to get his attention. Finny, excuse me.
And he looks up, and you can actually see, although he's wet from the rain, a lot of it's dried up as the sun's come up a little bit, but you can see a few streaks of clear skin through where the mud has been on his cheeks. And he looks up at you, and there's clear sorrow in his eyes. What am I doing here, mate? I don't belong here. I'm not meant to be dealing with this kind of shite.
He puts a hand on your shoulder, and he says, none of us were meant to be here, my friend. I understand. More than you may think. You've put your trust in me once already. Please put your trust in me one more time, and may I inspect your new weapon?
It's not mine. I mean, what do I need with a spear? And he tosses it down on the ground, and then the next second his hand's gone back and pulled it up again. And he just looks extremely frustrated with himself. I don't want it, but it's like it won't leave me be.
The draw of some magical items is strong, and
I don't want to hear voices again, not like that.
If you hold it aloft, I can look at it and tell you the nature of the thing. Maybe that would put your mind at ease.
While Gwydion is doing his magic mambo jumbo, I'm gonna stand on my knees and look Finney in the eyes, and I'm going to say, that spear can be used for great things, greatly bad and greatly good alike, and only the man who do not wish it, who does not want it, can do good with a weapon like that. I am at peace knowing that you have it. And in a lower voice, he says, I would have not trusted even Gerhard with it. And he pulls back slowly.
And Finney stares at you as you say all this, and as you pull back, his gaze flickers down to his wrist for a split second, before coming back up and alighting on the spear once more. He says, I hope you're right, mate. I don't know that I trust me with it. With that much of anything.
So, as they're talking, I'm just sweeping the items across the spear, and what do I sense from it?
Okay, so the spear. Ha! Multitasking. So this is an uncommon item. It requires attunement. You get the sense of the history stuff that I told Voldemort.
Mm-hmm.
So it transfers life to its wielder, imbuing that individual with stamina to keep it fighting. When you hit a melee attack using this magic spear and reduce the target to 0 hit points, you gain 2d6 temporary hit points back. A bit like how Black Staff worked.
Okay.
They stack, and for Finney it is a +2, but only for Finney.
Uh-huh.
So I look at him and I say, Waldemar speaks wisely. This weapon is but a tool, and it must be attuned to, so you do have a choice. And it is our choices, the actions that result from our choices, that make us who we are. I would fear not having it in your hands. It seems to want to serve you.
Gods alone know why. I mean, but
Still,
what business have I got with a spear that sucks the life out of things?
It likes you. Many people do, and I just pat his shoulder.
And despite himself, there's a flicker of an old smile on Finney's face, a familiar look. And he finally picks himself up out of the mud and dusts off some of the crap off his orange jacket and just looks at you both. Thanks, I think. I'm sorry about, whatever the thing did. And he looks quite embarrassed at the whole turn of events.
Oh,
Do not
yeah.
mention it.
They reassure you, yeah.
And this time Voldemort doesn't seem snarky or anything, he just genuinely thinks that you should think higher of yourself.
We should catch up with the others. He says and looks at Gwydion. You look like you could use a rest, fella. You don't need to be dealing with this right now.
He draws the cloak from Gerhardt around him a little closer and pats you on the shoulder, and he'll walk alongside you as we catch up. And with Voldemort as well.
Aww. Bonding.
And as you come up to us, you can hear the last words of prayer that Ella is speaking as she's turning the prayer wheel and it's making the soft ringing sound. And the last words of the prayer are just, we're all in such fine health, yet we could even be a little bit more healthier. And this little minor annoyance has been visited upon us. So if you and your good graces could see to bestow upon us more health, a great yandala, another ring of the prayer wheel, we would be all very, very grateful for your help. And you can feel divine energy curse through your veins as you regain 15 hit points from the prayer of healing.
Yay.
That is enough to make me 2 years younger.
Penny, you would know that you would notice Gideon standing up quite a bit taller after this than he was before, and the blood streaks and the wounds on his face are no longer there.
Finney looks up at you, having seen this, and flashes a smile both at yourself and then in Ella's direction as well. And he seems like he's trying to shrug off the pressure that he's been under throughout this afternoon, and trying to sink back into his old self almost. And as he rejoins the rest of you, he casually remarks, "Right, new plan. Next time we find an idol out in the middle of nowhere made of kindling, we burn it straight away, no different."
That is a good plan. I can get behind that.
I agree.
I will
Next
warn
time-
all the farmers to hide their scarecrows from you two.
You should know by now anything with the name Crow in it needs to be wherever with Finney Maguire.
Oh, good thing that the keepers of the feather are not here.
And they walk into the sunset smiling. No.
There is no sunset in Barovia. So
Oh.
it takes you an hour to get back. Or however long it took. I forget now. I didn't write that down. I should have.
It was about an hour.
Yeah. It takes you some time to get back. And you return to the inn where Erwin is there and he's cleaning glasses because that's what bartenders do. I know because I was one. You do just polish glasses.
No serving drinks, just polish the glasses.
We were told to polish the glasses when we weren't busy.
Do we need to drop off the gem to the Martikos first?
Well,
That's a good
isn't
question.
Erwin's last name Martikov?
Oh, of
He's
course.
the son, yeah.
I was thinking of the
use
winery,
it.
sorry.
When we give it to him and he gives it to his dad, maybe they have a family reunion. Isn't that a neat idea? We can make them feel like each other more. So
Or
that
you-
will make Barovia a much happier place. I like
So-
that idea.
Oreo will be responsible for a murder suicide. There is either or situation.
No, it will be nice and heartwarming. I just know it.
Just like when the Maguire clan meets up, he says, and leaves it up to interpretation whether he's talking about Voldemort's comment or Ella's.
So yes. So, Owen Martikov is there,
Okay.
polishing glasses. The inn is quite quiet this time of day.
I walk up to the counter and produce the gem, which I hold with 2 fingers with my gloved hand. And there are some pieces of very stale bread stuck to the gem because I did not grab it into anything as I tossed it into my backpack. And I just put it on the counter in front of Martin.
So he picks it up and he picks off the bits of stale bread. And he nods in approval. And he says, the old crow will be happy. So it's done then.
Are you happy too? I say, looking over the counter.
Well, I wouldn't have an inn if I couldn't have wine. You have saved my father's winery.
Gerhardt
Does that mean yes?
leans in slightly and he just says completely serious. In fact, he knows that despite the merriment in the group, he hasn't actually smiled or participated in it at all on the walk back. And he just leans in and he just says, "We saw him."
So who?
The big bad guy.
Him.
Be him.
Make it down the mood, man.
In a way that, any Barovian would say there's only one thing that...
The devil. What did he want?
Oh, he wanted tea and biscuits. What do you think he wanted?
And a little destruction, Valaki, and your father's winery.
He raised the dead to perform a ritual, which reanimated some enormous tree. The battle was fierce, but it has been felled.
And he kind of gives you all a look over. You're all like muddy and you've got twigs in your hair. Ella, he reaches over and he pulls a stray twig that you missed. He says, I can see that.
But he did not try and fight us himself. That is what disturbs me. If he truly wanted us dead, then surely he would face us.
I mean, he's clearly mad. He put his horse on fire, right? Who does that?
You saw Baracus?
Um,
That is what that nightmare is called.
Baracus.
She speaks truly.
He.
What do I have with a 22 on the history of that flaming horse?
DM didn't.
I'm so glad I got my monster manual down. Actually, no, I'm going to use Fight Club. Because that's right here. Right. Give me 2 seconds. Close
Just
that
make it
note.
up.
No! There's lore about it! It's important!
So while everyone else is chatting, Voldemort peers deep into himself, trying to retrieve ancient knowledge he heard as a young child, 32.
Can we go have a nap while this is going on? Level up.
No.
He's just waiting like in
I'm
Skyrim,
hungry.
staring into the ceiling.
Okay. So, you know it is a large fiend. A devil. A horse, literally, from the pits of hell. And Strahd's personal steed.
Voldemort. Sorry.
Hence why it has a name.
Voldemort nods to himself and says, I am going to steal his horse.
Can I just point out Sam's awesome joke? Baracus pities the fool.
Oh,
I saw it. I chose to ignore it.
If that thing doesn't come back with a flaming mohawk, I'm going to be sorely disappointed. And at least one gold chain.
I hope that Strahd has him in the barracks, so he has to yell, "Get Baracus out of the barracks!"
Howling mad starch from Serafich.
Brilliant.
Sorry. Not sorry.
I know you're not. I knew what would happen the moment we all played Cards of Humanity together. I built this group. I deserve all of
And
this.
you love us.
I do. So I guess you'll be wanting dinner and bed then, Owen
And a
says.
bath.
And a whiskey.
2 whiskeys.
Okay, whiskies all round, dinner coming up, bath after dinner.
Okay.
And he disappears off into the back room. Big pile of steam and something delicious hits you in the face because Owen is a fantastic cook. And he settled down on an empty table and he returns with 5 glasses on each finger, a very large platter of food, and a decanter of whiskey. And he hands out the glasses between you and puts down plates of steaming meat and melted cheese and soup and melted butter and bread, and there's even some seafood. You don't know where seafood came from because mist. It's not an island, but there it is. And there's pickles and sausage and all the lovely things. And
If the Vistani had her hand in it, then it would probably fallen off the back of a...
I mean, maybe if well-aged zombie might be like, who knows? We don't want to know. We just want to eat.
And there is this decanter he has. It's different from the stuff he normally dishes out. You've been here a while now. And, usually it's in a brown bottle with a cork and he pours it, but this is in a crystal decanter. And he takes off the stopper and he gives you all a little shot of it. And it's heady and it's woody and it's really something that's been aged for a long time.
Finney's eyes light up, not only having seen this, but he watches the whole thing with keen interest, and then as soon as he gets the first taste, he glass by down. Where the hell have you been hiding that? That's the stuff we're talking about.
It's only for the people I like. Now, eat your food before I decide I don't like you.
No, you like us. You can't take it back now. I say with my glasses.
Finney pours another whiskey, and before he does anything else, he holds the glass up in front of everyone. I think it's only appropriate we toast to Survivor.
And to Erwin as well for this delicious meal.
Gerhardt doesn't actually touch his glass at all. He just leaves it on the table. He's got his hands steepled thoughtfully just in front of his face with his elbows on the table. Just staring out into this. Finney's words drift in momentarily. He does look, and as everybody raises the glass, he does just a little admission that he's still there, and he joins in. He shares the sentiment, but there's absolutely no sound to come from him.
And Finney, noticing the silence, will look across the table at him, having put the whiskey glass down, and stares at him for a second or two. And Kezra asks, "You know what, mate? I've been meaning to ask you ever since we got off that hill. What was all that about? I thought Down's guardsmen were certainly where I came from. Weapons, yay, but magic? Sis, where do you go for around spells?"
Did Quidin teach you in secret why we were not looking? Did you?
Uh-oh.
It's an old hobby.
Hobby?
Hobby in Barovia.
Well, considering you're in all that bright plate, mate, you're a bit of a dark horse now. How long have you been planning to keep that a secret?
If I were keeping it a secret, I would not have displayed it at all. It is simply a skill that I picked up many years ago.
Well, I'm glad you did, and I'm glad you've got no qualms about using it. It would have come in handy.
I discontinued my use of it.
But why?
I did not have the time to commit to its study. Now,
And now
Now
you
that
do?
I am no longer a guardsman, yes, I do.
Well, I'm glad you used it, so we could win that fight. Do you know what that means? We're all magical, I say, and I down the rest of my whiskey.
And Finney, with the third glass of whiskey now, raises it towards Gerhardt. In that case, to continued study and excellence. The next shot glass.
Yeah.
At that, he does crack a little bit of a smile. The sunny disposition coming back to him a little bit, and he just little bit of a grin and just.
So Gideon, this entire time, before and then after the taking of the shot, has been furiously scribbling in a notebook. It almost looks mathematical, but the symbols are all very strange. And after hearing this bit, as he's doing his calculations, he looks up and he says, "Perhaps you could appreciate this then." And he slides his notebook across, and it almost looks like he's trying to work out some theoretical spellcraft. That fight, I was completely disabled by that tree. So I was thinking, and he points to a couple of his calculations, and it almost looks like a derivation of like a gaseous form or like a misty step kind of spell. It looks like he's working out the theory to be able to transform himself into a gaseous state and then get out of that sort of situation in the future. What do you think of these calculations?
Yes, ask the most unskilled mage in the group about that. And Waldemar downs the fourth shot of whiskey.
Oh, you come in, and he waves you in. You as well.
No, I know when I'm unwanted, and he continues to just drink whiskey.
But you can share the night for me, mate, says Finney, and Finney starts matching you drink for drink.
Gerhard just glances briefly at the book and just shakes his head slightly. The old man is nonetheless right. This is advanced far beyond my level.
Okay. So then he takes the book and then he slides it across to Waldemar and he says, "What do you make of it?"
Depends on how drunk Waldemar gets with a 13 Constitution save and after 5 glasses of whiskey.
Okay.
Give me a second.
Would you like me to do the same? Because Finney's going to be right there with it.
Yes.
Let's all roll for getting drunk.
19 for Finney.
Okay, Finny, you're fine.
19 as well.
Voldemort.
Halflings, man, they can drink.
Voldemort.
Yes.
You slurring words. There's about 8 people at your table. Everything's kind of fuzzy. Hey, do you remember that one time when you saw a frog on a log?
No, but I remember that one time when a chicken wore pants and it tried to get after a rabbit that got stuck into my dog's den. And in a very detailed account, I tell that to Gwydion while I'm writing the same thing into his carefully crafted spell calculation.
So I politely listen to this long and recursive story where he keeps repeating like the same punchline and like slurring all his words, and I'm just like politely listening, and like sweat is starting to bead on his forehead after a moment, and he tries to get the notebook back.
No. The chicken pants. Polka dot.
And at that point, he yanks the book back and he looks at it. I see. And he He just kind of turns and goes back to his calculations.
Finney, meanwhile, with a mischievous glint in his eye, just says to him, "That's a great story, mate. Let's have another." That's across to him.
I'm not refusing.
I need you to make me a con save, but it's disadvantaged.
Oh, hell yeah. That's natural 1. I cannot go lower than that, just straight over the bat.
Yeah.
Is he passing out?
As you knock back this last drink, you lean back, and you lean back, and you just keep going until you're just completely slumped, bent over the bench, and you start snoring.
I become one with the floor.
At that point, Gerard's just going to, as he tumbles off the table, and he's just going to stand up wearily, and make his way round the table, and pick Waldemar up, and just heft him onto his shoulders.
I'm a heavy boy, I have to say.
Yeah, well, that's why his fireman carry.
Strength check, please.
As Voldemar's slumping over, Finney makes a quick dex check to just grab the shot glass from his hands before it hits pops the 2 in front of him.
Dex
Voldemort for
check,
me.
please.
Yeah, is that right, 18?
Yeah, that's more than enough to lift him.
Yeah, he's just gonna heft him up and start carrying him off towards the rooms.
When you bend over, I pat your head and say, "You're a good guy," and give you guidance. So you make it.
That might come in handy.
Let's go. And I sit down in another class.
Might come in handy. We'll see.
Voldemort.
Glad he's not drunk.
Mm-hmm.
As you slumber in your drunken state,
Hi, Strahd.
you are out cold, and in your mind you see colours and shapes. And these shapes take form. You're in a room, a grand state room, with wispy curtains on the bedpost, comfortable chairs. There is a fire in the hearth, but it's dying. The castle moans, and you can hear the wind whipping outside. And then you hear, "Papa?" You turn around, and there, standing, in a fine, simple dress, is your daughter. Your missing daughter. And on her shoulder rests a long-nailed, pale hand, and glowing red eyes that peer from you from the darkness. "Good evening." And a glittering shine of fanged teeth sparkle at you. And it is here we will end our session.
You enjoyed doing
the
this,
foreshadowing.
Oh dear!
From one cliffhanger to another. You're evil, dear.
Nice.
Look at that grin.
So how many natural death 20s do I need to roll in a row to kill Strahd right here and now?
In the
I wouldn't advise it.
Yes. Well, that was fun. I really enjoyed that.
That's
Yeah, it's
really
good laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And we survived, which I think not all of us expected.
We're
Just about.
We're survived!
Not for a lack of trying, the dice were not good to me.
We said
I know.
strive for
There's always next time.
The
I have a
one
feeling
night your
that
dice took off was
the reason why your dice decided to punish you was because you halved the tree's attack. And since nobody got eaten, the dice was like, "Oh, she's going to easy on them. We're gonna show her how to go easy on them." And they just
I, by contrast, rolled unusually well tonight, so I'm very, very pleased.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, quickly, just a quick run round the table. Everyone say who you are, where we can find you online, what you're up to, and yeah, go. Tahina, because yours will probably be the longest.
Hey, I am Tahina. You can find me on Twitter at Tahina_Andale. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central European time, so like I think 2 p.m. EST, you can see me over at Scradicus Academy when I play Forja Flamemain, the Fire Genasi Druid. We're in the Feywild, and it's Fey and Wild. All the Fey bullshit. This Sunday, you can see me over at Fumbles and Fame, where I play Runa Rika, start here in Tomb of Annihilation, and next Monday, you can see me right here again with Ella for Curse of Strahd. Oh, and I'm also a member of the Mage College. Some of you saw Archmage Derek in chat before. We create content for D&D 5th edition, articles and stuff. The Children of Night came out last week for Halloween, and right now we are working on Golden Eyes, Guide to Warlock, and there's also Character Folio Anya with a lot of cool artwork made by Archmage Derek's wife, It's Kanu on Twitter, so check that out.
Jason.
Yes, I am Jason. You can find me at Twitter. Why would you? But I'm not a fan of Twitter. But anyway, you can catch me on every other Saturday over with Kevin and Leoni and Sam for Waterdeep, which is a really good game. I'm one half of the Blackthorn Company. And I'll pass you over to the other half.
No, because next is Nate. Sam is next, so Nate is next.
Okay.
Now,
I'm Nate. I can be found on Twitter at kit63084. So now y'all know my birthday, no excuses. No, kidding. I do the occasional pixel art, and I kind of work on game engines and some fun stuff, and I have a plan for a game to release in some point in the future, so I guess keep an eye there if you want to see that.
I'm in
Yeah,
I'll be changing the handle in the future, though, just to kind of more associate myself with D&D stuff, so if that changes, I'll update you guys.
Right now, it is Sam.
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at Mind the Quiet One. Don't usually post a great deal, but I'm up there. And you can find me here on Goldhart Games. I'm here in Curse of Strahd every Monday. I'm in Waterdeep on alternating Saturdays, and occasional one-shots popping up here and there, playing, possibly DMing at some point in the near future. I'm filling the bugs, so keep an eye out for that, and no doubt that'll show up on the channel at some stage. As for my Twitter, I say not a lot on it, but if you saw the last episode of Waterdeep Dragon Heist, you'll see that there's a cosplay episode. I cosplayed the Minotaur, and there will be some behind-the-scenes footage going up on Twitter sometime this week. So if you do want to see how that came about, go check it out.
Last but not least, there is Anne.
Hi, I'm Anne. I go by Anne Mayfair on Twitter, on Instagram, on Twitch, and on Tumblr, and virtually any other social media there is. I do illustration and occasionally do doodles for Goldhart Gaming, and I play Curse of Strahd on Mondays. Also, possibly within the next 2 weeks, there will be a regular art stream with Leoni, where we will be doing artwork for both Goldhart Gaming and personal projects. And that's it.
Excellent.
Nice.
And I'm going
Done
to
well.
wrap up. So, firstly, I'd like to thank you all for watching me DM. Fun fact, I haven't been doing this very long. I've actually only been playing D&D for about 2 to 3 years, and DMing half of that. So this is my main #1 campaign. Hopefully I did good. But you can catch me as a player bi-weekly on Waterdeep. I might pop up in other streams, but you can certainly find me on Twitter where I'm most active. I'm a marketer by trade, so I am the marketing arms of Goldhart Group. So tonight actually marks the final stream we needed to do to be affiliated. So watch this space, because there is some amazing stuff coming your way. We've been planning it for months. So as you know, Thursday, hopefully this week, if not next week, just check the events. We'll be starting doing an art stream. I'm going to do watercolors in a traditional medium. I am no way an artist, even though I make all these overlays and stuff. I am not an artist. I just like to draw. Anne is the artist, so there'll be a lot of me like, Anne, how do I fix it? There'll be a lot of that. So that will be quite fun. There are new games coming in the near future. I've heard lots of whispers that people want to DM a campaign. So if this is something you'd like to do and you like telling stories, hit us up. Come talk to me on Twitter. We'll see what we can sort out. And yeah, so we're going to wish you good night. Sweet dreams. No nightmares now, unlike Voldemort. And we'll see you next Monday. All right. Night.
So long, folks.